pretties. I just wanted to give you a really quick tutorial on how I took this boot design that I have and turned it into an applique design. The first thing that I did was took this particular layer right here, the third one down on the left. If I close this eyeball, you can see that it gets rid of all of that detail that was there. So I'm going to take this image and we're going to copy it. And then we're going to make a new window. So go up to the top left here. And then we're going to paste it in here. Because I don't want to do is ruin my original. And then let's go ahead and select center. And then we'll go over here at the top. And that's going to put that right in the middle of the screen here for us. Now what we can do is take and go into our tools menu, and we can then grab the line tool here, and then we're going to just find a place we want to start and trace basically this whole thing. So I'm going to start here on the bottom, and with our left mouse we're going to click, and it's going to make a point. And then I'm going to continue moving up along this line, and it's going to be my path. And I'm going to continue to click with the left mouse button. And it might be hard to see. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit and bring that down some. You can see here, you can see those dots. And we'll continue to click along here. And you'll just trace your image all the way around. So I'm going to roll this back down a little so we can see more of it on the screen. And we'll just keep following this along. So be patient as I go around. And I'm going to skip this piece here. I'm going to come back and do something with that later. So with anything that you find for design that you like and you want to make it into an applique, this is a step that you can take to do that. And now if you don't have maybe the applique or the design that I had originally, maybe you only have a picture, you can go up over here to view and go to this backdrop tool that's in the top here, and then you can bring in an image and be able to do the same thing. So when you bring in that image, you'll be able to use that as a guide, because my art skills are very limited, but I can do copying stuff like this pretty well. So we're continuing along this, clicking with the left mouse. Sorry, this is going to take a little bit of patience. Maybe should have turned on some music in the background, huh? Okay, so when we get around this curve here, I'm going to put some dots a little close together so it'll go around there nicely. Okay, now I'm going to go up here and tell it to close the shape, and then it finishes putting that line across here. Now what we can do is we're gonna like edit it if we need to. You can easily select the edit shape tool. Let's see if I can go back on here. Where is this here? Here's my artwork. Okay, now we've got our artwork. Let's make that a different color so that there, it puts it on its own separate layer, and then that color is going to be different than the original. We can see it better. And we can go to the edit shape tool, and if you zoom in, you can see if you need to edit anything. Now, another thing I like to do, let's close the eyeball on this one, and then select this one, and we'll shrink this down a little bit. Let's go to home and shrink this a little bit. Now some of these, some of these lines may be rather sharp, and we want to do is smooth them out. So let's go to this edit shape tool. Then with our left mouse, we're going to draw and drag a box around all of this, and then we're going to right click, and we're going to select smooth, this option right here, and it's going to take and smooth out the curves. Now when it does that, this one point here is going to get rounded, and I don't want that to be rounded. I want it to be pointed, so I'm going to select just that one point, and then I'm going to select line and see how it makes it sharp again there. And I could go around and look at this, and if there's something that you don't necessarily maybe like the shape of, you can adjust that. This, I think right here looks a little flat, so I can take and select that with the left mouse and then just drag that up a little bit, select this next one and drag that. Oops, it's making some extra points that I don't want. Yeah, I made a couple extra points. Okay, let's get this one and drag. See how that kind of rounded that out a little bit? And then if it looks like you like it, we can go to the next part to convert it to Appliqué. We can turn this back on, kind of check out if we like, if it lines up with everything else, and if we're liking that, we're good. I see something here we need to fix. See here, this one here. So let's select this again, edit shape tool, and this point here, I want to make a line, and this point here, I want to make a line, so that way the bottom of my shoe is straight again. Okay, so then the next thing is we click here, we've got this whole thing selected. Let's bring this back into all of the view. And we go back to tools, and then now we can select convert to Appliqué. And we've got a satin stitch here. We can, let's see if it'll let us look at the 3D view. There, that gives us a 3D view when we look there. Now at this point, when we haven't done anything further, we've converted this to the Appliqué, we can go up here. If you wanted to, you could make it a blanket stitch by selecting blanket and then apply. So that would be a really nice feature to do. You can make it a motif stitch, which could be fun, and then under this motif here, if you bring that down, you've got all kinds of selections you could make and then apply. So you don't have to have a satin stitch. You can have other designs as well. I'm going to go back to the satin stitch though, and then here is where you can change the stitch length, then the stitch width, and the density. So maybe I don't want it to be quite as wide. Maybe we'll make it just a little bit smaller. Maybe I don't want the density to be quite as much. I can make that a little bit smaller just by changing these numbers here. and then select apply. And the 3 might have actually made it tighter. Let's see. I'm still learning this program to there. So the larger the number for the density, the less dense this stitching around is going to be. So playing with these numbers can give you a different end result on what your satin stitch is going to look like. Okay, so now I've got this part here that I wanted to use for the applique. Let's go back over to this boot and we'll turn on these other parts again. Now I can then take these other pieces and bring them over. So I'm going to take the 2 gold pieces and copy them and bring them over to here and paste them in place. And let's arrange those into the center, and hopefully it doesn't quite line up. Let's put that in the center. No, okay, so what we'll do is we will select these 2 and just move them around so that they're in position of where we're going to want it to stitch out at our end result. Now remember there was this line right there. We're gonna go ahead and let's turn this off a minute, and I want to go ahead and make that little line. I'm going to go up here to the tools, the line tool, and we'll just go from my mouse isn't working well. It doesn't enlarge when it should. So I'm going to just go from here and just stitch this little section here so it'll do that part. And then let's okay, we got our artwork. Oh, sorry here. Let's change the color of that one just a second. Okay, I want the edit shape tool. I'm going to right click. I'm going to make that smooth. And then we're going to convert that to applique. And then we'll make these numbers the same as the other. So I think that was a 3 and this was a 6, and then applique. And if I don't want that as wide, I can change it some more. Let's turn these others on and see how that fits in there. That is a little wide, so let's see if we can make that a little bit narrower. Let's try a 2. You see how it makes that a little bit narrower, so it will match this. I'm going to make that the gold color. And then I'm going to move this layer up. So see, that way then when it stitches, this is going to stitch over top of that. Let's change this outline to another color so everything isn't blending in so much. Okay. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. So that's pretty much about all that is required. And then we're going to want to take this original layer here and we'll delete that. And then you can take this little timeline thing down here and you can use that to see how it's going to give you your placement stitch. Then it's going to give you the fabric tack down stitch. And then it's going to do the appliquing part on your fabric after you've trimmed it. And then we're adding in all of these other details. Now, I think that this would look better if this satin stitch was actually on top of this. So we're going to do this is we're going to go to this applique here. So this is some things to think about when you're making your design, you know, how it's going to look in the end result. So in order to take and make it so I can split this up into moving the layers, we're going to right click on this layer and we're going to now tell it preserve as stitches. Now before you preserve as stitches, make sure that all of these elements are as you want them to be, because once you've preserved as stitches, you can no longer make changes. If you think you might need to make changes, copy this layer and save it so that you have an editable layer to go back and do something with. But for this purpose, I'm going to say preserve as stitches. Now you can see I've got 3 different layers here. So now what I can do is take this particular layer and move it down. Now, see when I did that, how it kind of covers the edges of that gold part from what it was? So I think that's going to look even better when it's finished stitching. So those are some things to think about when you're designing something, is how you want the finished look to be. You know, you can then maneuver the layers around how you want them to be. So quick little tutorial for you. Hope you enjoyed that. Give it a try yourself and share whatever it is that you make. Bye now.